Operation Northwoods, the war that never was, 1962. In the tense spring of 1962, the world stood on the edge of chaos. The Cold War was boiling, and the small island of Cuba had become a volcano of American fear. The Cuban Revolution had succeeded, Fidel Castro was in power, and Soviet influence was creeping dangerously close to U.S. shores. The failed Bay of Pigs invasion the year before had humiliated Washington and enraged the Pentagon's top brass. They wanted revenge. Inside the marble corridors of the Pentagon, America's highest-ranking military officials gathered behind closed doors, not to plan defense, but deception. The goal was simple: find a way to make the American people want a war with Cuba. What emerged from those meetings was one of the most shocking documents in U.S. history, a top-secret plan called Operation Northwoods. It wasn't a battle strategy. It was a blueprint for psychological warfare against America itself. The proposal outlined a chilling list of pretexts the U.S. military could manufacture to justify an invasion of Cuba. Among them, faking hijackings of civilian airplanes and blaming them on Cuban terrorists, planting bombs in U.S. cities, even in Washington and Miami, to spark outrage, sinking boats carrying Cuban refugees to frame Castro as a murderer, staging funerals for fake victims complete with media coverage and grieving families, even fabricating an attack on a U.S. ship, eerily similar to the real-life Remember the Maine incident that started the Spanish-American War decades earlier. The memo called for the creation of a national tragedy so devastating that Americans would beg for retaliation, a war built on lies, scripted by their own government. Every detail was planned with military precision: fake evidence, forged identities, controlled press coverage. The men behind the proposal were not fringe operatives. They were generals, admirals, and strategists at the highest levels of power. Their justification? To rally public support and justify military intervention. But one man stood in their way. When the proposal reached President John F. Kennedy, he was horrified. He rejected it immediately. To him, Northwoods crossed a sacred line, the line between defending freedom and destroying it from within. Shortly after, Kennedy began losing trust in his own military leadership. He fired General Lyman Lemnitzer, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff who had endorsed the plan, and quietly moved to limit the Pentagon's reach in foreign operations. The plan was buried, sealed away, hidden under layers of classification. For decades, it existed only as a rumor whispered among historians and skeptics. But in the 1990s, after the Assassination Records Review Board released thousands of documents related to the Kennedy era, the truth surfaced. Operation Northwoods was real. The declassified papers stunned the public. It wasn't a conspiracy theory. It was an official written proposal signed and approved by the Joint Chiefs. Evidence that some of the most powerful men in America had considered sacrificing innocent lives and manipulating the press to start a war. Though the operation never happened, its implications rippled through time. It revealed how fragile truth can become when patriotism turns into paranoia, and how easily national security can justify the unthinkable. Operation Northwoods became a ghost story within the halls of government, a reminder that the greatest threats to democracy don't always come from foreign soil. Sometimes they come from the quiet corners of its own defense rooms. In a single decision, Kennedy stopped what could have been one of the darkest chapters in American history. But the fact that such a plan could be written, seriously debated, and nearly executed proves something haunting: that power, when afraid, will sometimes choose deception over duty. The Cold War may have ended, but Northwoods remains a warning that truth in the wrong hands can be weaponized against the very people it was meant to protect.